Hello and welcome to a Gameplay Full Seasons. Today we're talking about Hogwarts Legacy, and in particular we're talking about Hogwarts Castle itself. Now what I want to discuss here are the 7 places in Hogwarts itself within the castle walls that I'm in particular looking forward to seeing in the game. Now these aren't weird and wonderful, they probably are weird and wonderful, but they're not sort of random places that you probably never heard of. I expect you've heard of all these 7 places. I just want to go through why in particular I'm looking forward to seeing these places. So let's get straight into this. So the first thing I want to talk about is stairs. Now, there are 142 staircases in Hogwarts, and the one in particular I want to talk about is the grand staircase. So it's the one with all the moving stairs. Now, the reason I'm looking forward to that is to me, that feels like a bit of a, you know, we know Hogwarts Legacy, it's going to be this big open world grand RPG. It's going to try and be very detailed, very realistic and all those things. So I think, you know, to try and get those stairs moving around in a way that isn't just going to be massively frustrating to walk up and down them in a way that's realistic is going to be an interesting challenge for them to go through. So that's going to be very interesting. We know there's all sorts of other strange things happen to stairs, like, you know, some stairs will suck you in and some will have to pull you out. You need to know what stairs do that, and various other things they do as well. So it'd be interesting to see how they weave that in. And of course, off that grand staircase, there's all sorts of secret tunnels. So it really should be a bit of a hub. I'm very interested to see how they actually go about doing the mechanics of the moving staircase. So that's the first one. The second one I'm very interested in is the bathrooms. So we know they play a big part in the Harry Potter films. Obviously, Moaning Myrtle is in the girls' bathroom. She won't obviously be there in this game because this game is set before she was killed by a basilisk. So this is obviously the late 1800s, but that bathroom I think is still there. I'd quite like to visit it. And other than that, there's loads of interesting bathrooms actually in there. So you've got the prefect bathroom, which has, you know, should be quite interesting. It's got this big pool in the middle. It's got luxurious taps of all different soaps in there. You know, the head boy, the head girl, and various other people like the Quidditch players can go in there. And I think it'd just be interesting to see what they do there. And you'd like to think, again, a bit like the films, you know, perhaps there's going to be secret tunnels and various things that happen. So it should be an interesting thing to see. It should be better than any other bathroom you've ever been in any other game. So it should be interesting. So the third one is the kitchens then. Now, some people, it's a bit of a misnomer that somehow food is just magically created out of thin air, but, you know, the Harry Potter fans among us know that that's not the case. All food is made somewhere. The magic of how they appear in the Great Hall is literally, they just transport it from where it's made to the Great Hall. And I'd like to see the kitchens for 2 reasons. Firstly, we didn't see them in the films, but also, you know, that there should be a lot of elves working there. It should be quite interesting to see what goes on, see how they create all that food. And, you know, if it's going to be a free roam, we should definitely be allowed to go into the kitchens and see something that we haven't seen before. It should be interesting. Fourth place then, and there is 7 of these places I want to talk to, is the Hufflepuff Common Room. Now, the reason I'm interested in that one is, you know, firstly, it's interesting to see all the common rooms, but as those of you who've read the Harry Potter books know, Harry goes into all 3 of the other common rooms. So he goes into obviously Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and his own Gryffindor. And though it may have been the intention for him to go to all 4 during the series, he never did. So I think Hufflepuff will be interesting because it's not something that's particularly overly described anywhere that we've seen. Obviously, it's in other games, but I think it'll be interesting to see what they do here, and you sort of get that feel that perhaps you haven't got elsewhere. So like I said, Hufflepuff Common Room, but I guess all the common rooms really. It kind of makes me lean towards maybe I'll be Hufflepuff in the game, but we'll see. We'll see who I'll be. The next then is the Astronomy Tower. Now, obviously, that's where the big scene happens in the film. I won't say too much about it, just in case you haven't seen the film or the books. But it's quite a key place. But aside from the fact that interesting events that happen from the Harry Potter books, it's actually the tallest tower in Hogwarts, so it should, therefore, you'd imagine, have a pretty good view, if not the best view. So I'm quite looking forward to going up there and just kind of gazing out the window in all directions and seeing what it all looks like. I think it should get a really good view of all the hard work that you imagine developers are going to be putting into this. So then the next one then, and we're almost for our list here, but it is the Room of Requirement. Now, some people may think that the Room of Requirement, you know, obviously it was where Dumbledore's army trained, But it's not the only time that they use a room requirement. You saw at various other points it was where Rowena Ravenclaw diadem was found and was restored. And you would imagine throughout it opens up all the time for a student who's really, really in need, who happens to walk past it, I believe 3 times. So I think it will be in the game because it's an interesting thing. You can do things with it, and like I say, it'll be interesting to go in there and feel that you're part of this room that is completely different for everybody depending on what they need it for. So I think that should be interesting and a fun place to go to. Okay, and the last place then I wanted to mention is the Great Hall. Now, I'm not saying the Great Hall, we all know that's where, when events like Christmas, Halloween are going, it's kind of magical. It's where all the festivities happen. It's where you imagine lots of interesting things in this game will happen. Also the Sorting ceremony, which is going to be interesting to find out what we get from that. But the real particular thing that I'm interested in from the Great Hall is actually if you look upwards. So in the Great Hall, it's got obviously the enchanted ceiling, which looks like sky, even snows and rains and things like that. So I would quite like, it could be interesting what they do that. How do they blend that? Because we know this is gonna have good graphics and come out on the latest generation. How are they gonna make that look like a ceiling, but at the same time the sky as well? I think that'll be, it's something I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do that. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't subscribed, please do hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.